Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say. Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of Dribbz Talks, the podcast that comes to you real, raw and uncut, highlighting some of our most dedicated individuals in society today. Now, in this episode, I bring to you a man that has dedicated many years of his life to bringing the Shropshire community some of the finest parties and is a strong contributor in keeping the Salop music scene alive. Welcome to the show, Barry Holland.
Glad to be here. Nice to see you, Dribbz.
Yeah, it's about time you get in the hot seat, mate.
Yeah, well, I've got a story to tell, my friend.
This is it. So, let's kick in with the first question, mate. So, firstly, Baz, for the listeners, am I right referring to you as Baz or Barry? What's your preference?
Baz. Everyone calls me Baz.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the listeners, mate, that may never have heard of you, can you give them just a brief description of who you are and what you do?
Well, in relation to music, most people will know me through the promotions that I've done over the years. Started off in drum and bass, was the early Perception days, and I started off with Traffic, with the house and techno, with helping James out, and then I went a bit on my own and did some drum and bass with some help from some friends.
Yep.
And then from that, as my music taste changed, I've started promoting house and techno more now and helping out on festivals, and that's when most people will know me from coming to my events.
Cool. Now, we have a lot of different topics to cover in this one, but keeping in line with most of my podcasts, I like to start by taking it way back.
Yeah.
So you need to get your thinking cap on here, mate.
I'll do my best.
So, So, growing up, was you always in a fairly musical household?
Not really, no. My dad listened to heavy rock. Mum, not really that bothered. Musically, until like the later years of school, until like the rave thing happened. I mean, I was too young to be in the rave, but we all had the tapes and the pirate radios and things that we were listening to, and kids with older brothers and sisters, you used to get the information fed back down that. So no music affiliation at all until like later in school when the rave music got me, and that was something that I finally musically got interested in, something that I could relate to. Now, have you always lived in Shrewsbury? Yep, Shrewsbury born and bred. Yeah, not been very far. Well, I travel obviously for holidays and activities, but yeah, I've never lived away from Shrewsbury, apart from a brief stint in Amsterdam, but I've generally lived in Shrewsbury all my life.
A brief stint in Amsterdam. Yeah. Interesting, mate. Interesting. So, can you give me some positives and some negatives about growing up in Shrewsbury?
The positives, it's just a lovely little place to live. It's like you've got most of the amenities of a city without all the nastiness of the city. I mean, there is drama here, there bad things happen, don't they, everywhere, but it's just a really nice place to live, close to all the major airports, an hour here or there, do you know what I mean, 2.5 hours train to London.
Yeah. And
then we've got all the countryside, as you know, living in one of the nicest places around here. So negatives, I can't actually think of one. I can't think of anything that springs to mind that would put me off ever not living in Shrewsbury.
That's nice, the fact that you can't think of negatives, because, ask me a few negatives about Telford, I might be able to give you 3 or 4, but the fact that you can't think of any negatives, mate, is pretty decent.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's an obvious one: traffic.
Yeah.
For such a small place with not the massivest population, the council have obviously not been very good at the traffic.
Now, I've heard more recently there's a lot of stuff going on with traffic.
With the roadworks and the temporary traffic lights, and they're not doing the relief road. It's not going to get any better.
Sort it out, Shrewsbury Council. Come on. So, at what age did you get your first pair of turntables?
God, the DJing came later. All I really cared about was listening to the music, and just when I got a bit older and I was able to go to raves, just go raving. I wasn't interested about trying to sneak in the booth. I wasn't interested about anything. I wanted to be in front of the booth, near the biggest speaker, and just have fun.
I like it.
No drama. I didn't want any. Do you know what I mean? It was just a bit later. I can't think. I think someone was selling a turntable, so I bought a turntable. My mate, DJ Conspire, gave me a really battered old mixer that didn't really work properly. And then I think I managed to find another turntable, and then I got a better mixer, and I just started messing about. In the vinyl days, it was just playing a couple of records. Never DJ'd in that era. Really.
Did you play any instruments as a youth?
No.
Could you bang out Three Blind Mice on the recorder or anything like that?
We did the recorder at school, but I don't think it's anything I gravitated towards, to be honest.
Yeah, it's you know what? It was so essential back in like junior school to be playing the recorder, but I can't think of a single time that I've needed to pull out a recorder and bust out Three Blind Mice.
It's good. They try and get a bit of music into you, innit?
I suppose so. So going on about the fact that you attended these raves, do you remember your first ever rave that you went to?
I do, yeah, and it was pivotal in the rest of my life, because the first rave I went to was Pandemonium, Mr. B's in Willen Hall, and obviously it was a weekly night back then, having transferred from JJ's, and I think I was 17 probably. So, and then I do remember it, because to me, even though it was only a small club, I think probably about 1,000 cap, it was just a massive fucking rave to me. Do you know what I mean? It was everything that I'd heard about, everything that I'd gleaned from the tapes, what the MCs tell you. It was just this big rave, and there was loads of people there. There was like all the old Hoscott Grange crew, and then all my Random Sounds crew that I knew. I knew loads of people, and it was just like home for us for a while, because I'm not saying I went every week. I went probably 10 times total, I would say. Looking back, you think it's every week, but it wasn't. But you get to know everyone. It was like a family, people that you didn't know, and it was like everyone looked after each other and nodded to each other. And it was just, that experience just set the tone for my life, because that's where I wanted to be, and that's where I enjoyed. And I think I can remember most of the lineup. It was like a DJ MC night. So there was Bookham and Conrad, which at the time, because back then the music, it was hardcore and drum and bass.
Yep.
Hardcore and jungle. So it was both, and I liked both back then. I think there was Easy D and MC Rush. I can't remember the others now, but I think there was 5 DJs and 5 MCs, and it was just the experience, and it was just the whole, not just the music, but just the energy, and it was such a good place to go back then. I think it was just a shit Sharon and Tracy nightclub, and they just took it over, and they'd been going for years in there, and it was brilliant every week. And the lineups back then, they were, even the first DJ, and it was only like 9 till 2 or something. But even the first DJ was like what would be a headliner now.
Right.
They just cranked it out. People got there early because it finished early. And yeah, that was my first experience. And then I loved it, and I've never been able to give it up since.
So, I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Like, I missed the era of Pandemonium.
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that I missed it.
Yeah.
I hate it, Baz.
I'm the same, because I missed the area just before that. So what I'm talking like probably 94, 95, but all their mega raves were probably 92, 93.
Right, okay, so you caught the end of it then, yeah.
The ice rink and Donington Park and all that,
yeah.
That was before me, and so I've always had that same feeling. Everyone has that feeling, I wish it was that little bit before. I'm not sure whether the kids now do, because there's nothing pivotal they're missing. I mean, there's still movements now and changes and a lot more bigger raves than that now, maybe. But
I think they grew up on the younger ones now. They grew up on that new sound, so they don't know anything different.
Yeah, they're not going to miss the foundation like we do. Like you living from Telford, you probably saw it from a bit younger.
Absolutely.
But that 88 to 92 or whatever, yeah, I could have had a bit of that, definitely.
I often look at, like, because obviously you mentioned about the Pandemonium Telford Ice Rink 91, 92. There's like some class quality footage on YouTube of that, and I often look at that and see all the ravers and all their attire and all that, and I often think, like, I'm sure they didn't, but did they know back then just how much of an historic, monumental part of the rave scene, that the foundations that they were attending?
I don't think till after. They're all looking back now. So I know a few people in that video. I've got some older friends. I'm a little bit older than you, as you probably guessed, but Yeah, I think at the they must have known it was amazing because it was a bit less regulated, and you could have massive 20,000 raves in fields in it. They must have known it was special, but it was a bit more lawless and unregulated then, and I think a bit freer. They were just enjoying the moment.
Absolutely.
And it got took off them shortly after, didn't it? So they were probably thankful that they'd had those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite early on.
Have you always been interested in like what's effectively EDM, or if you've been interested in any other genres as you were growing up?
Absolutely nothing. No, I don't find any affiliation with bands or that style of music.
Same. I'm
just pure electronic. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing else. I need continuous music. Even like I've tried going to a Prodigy concert or something. It's like there's gaps between bands, and then you have to go home at 11, and it's like there's no flow. There's no fun. It's it being in the rave that I like, the continuous music, the flowing. I don't listen to lyrics that much. Do you know what I mean? Obviously there's lyrics in some dance songs, but I just treat them as like a part of the music. I don't concentrate on the actual lyric. I just enjoy the whole thing as a song.
Can you like remember your first initial feeling as you walked into that first rave? I know it's a hard thing to say.
I can remember being in that club, and I can remember moments, and I can remember being on that dance floor, because there was always a crew of us. The Shrewsbury crew had a little corner right in front of the booth, and we used to get loads of love. I mean, you know MC Vansky now.
Of course, yeah.
He used to give us loads of love.
Big up Ransky.
He used to give us loads of shout-outs in that club, and he was really safe to us, looked after us. But I can just remember just walking in and then just seeing it, because the booth was in a really weird position, like sideways facing in the dance floor, and then you danced round it, and there was a balcony and that, and you could be right next to the DJ. You could safety punch the DJ. I don't know if I think I did actually. I remember once Mickey Finn, I saw him scrabbling around for a lighter. I think he was smoking a spliff, and I just popped up with my lighter, and he just put his thing out, and I lit. But it was one of them, £5 for a pound. And I used to bang them out on the streets and that, and it was on full, and he was like, "Fucking hell!" Nearly had his hair off.
Almost like one of them old Bunsen burners.
Yeah. But yeah, just little moments. I remember I was in awe. Of all the. It was only small, but it was a rave.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
See, my first rave that I attended was Slamming Vinyl, and it was at Shepton, the Royal Bath and West Showground. Shepton Mallet.
Yeah. It's a big place. I don't think I've ever been there, but it's a big gaff.
Mate, it's one hell of a venue. I never experienced the Sanctuary, shamelessly. I would have loved to have. A lot of my friends went to the last ever event.
3 times, I think.
Really?
I went to one Helter Skelter, and I think I went to both the One Nations.
Nice. Was it as good as it was hyped up to be?
Maybe in the earlier years, it was just a dirty fucking warehouse, mate. And all the times I went, the sound wasn't even that good. It was like, it was just a warehouse.
Really?
I think in the earlier, it was just because everything was there. That's where you had to go to the rave. I think it was just because everything had been there before, during the early Dreamscapes and that, who started it from probably in, was it 93 or maybe even 92 or even earlier than that. It was just a mythical venue, but it was one of them ones you'd want to say that you've been to, but as a venue, it was just a grimy little warehouse with no infrastructure, nothing. And I think the Helter Skelter I went to was the double with the Rollers warehouse.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was good, but I wasn't blown away. But then I'd been to a few places by then, so better places maybe. I'm not dissing it, but it wasn't as a venue.
Yeah.
But just as a place where everyone's memories are.
That makes me feel a little bit better about missing out on it, mate.
Yeah, you've been to better venues than what it was, but I think even I missed like the mythical part of the Sanctuary.
See, it's crazy because like, ask me what I did yesterday and I'd really struggle to tell you, but I remember buying that Slamming Vinyl ticket at a place called Vision Records, which was in Wellington.
Oh right.
It's long gone now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the record stores have, but I remember purchasing that and being underage and thinking, is he going to ID me because I haven't got any ID? And in fact, I actually had a fake ID back then, but no, we didn't have to give the ID. And I remember being in the queue of Slamming Vinyl and absolutely shitting myself as they were like, one by one. And in fact, like nowadays when I go to the raves now to perform, they ask for ID. That's like pivotal now. They go ID.
And it's not even for age, is it? It's just to make sure they know who's coming in the venue.
Exactly. Yeah. And I went to London only a couple of weeks ago for MCX Man's next hype at the Fire and Lightbox in Vauxhall. And we were due to perform, and we got to the front of the venue, ready to go in with half hour to spare, and the security were like, ID? Well, because I don't drive, I didn't have any ID on me, and I'm thinking, no, I haven't travelled all this way, got a hotel, but luckily they just had to take a picture of my mug, and I think that was for what you said, security reasons.
Every London club's like that now. Some of them do passport scans and that.
Really?
Yeah. The best thing to do is just take a photo of your passport and leave it on your phone, and then that's an out now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of you mentioned Pandemonium, do you remember any other brands that were like really kicking it back then?
My first all-night rave, Dance Planet, they were really big in the Midlands.
Dance Planet, yeah.
It was at Aston Villa Leisure Centre, I think it was. And I don't think it was one of their best ones because it wasn't rammed, it wasn't full. But I remember the queue getting up, it probably opened late or something. It was snaking round, and I was talking to someone from Barnstable or something. And it was proper. And I think also that was the first time I heard... I can't remember the tune now. But yeah, there was like loads of rooms and that. But the atmosphere wasn't brilliant. But we really enjoyed it. It was still mixed then. There was hardcore and drum and bass in the main room. Pulp Fiction, I think. Fabio played Pulp Fiction, and I think that's the first time I heard it. Yeah, and there was loads of little rooms as well with all the other kinds of hardcore and techno and that were going at the time. But I was full drum and bass by then. Still liked a little bit of hardcore, so I did get up and have a bit of a dance to Vibes. But I was moving then, and then it wasn't long before I turned into a proper soldier, and I wouldn't listen to anything else. I was like blinkered, got the attitude.
Did you ever attend Kinetic?
Yes, I went to Kinetic once. The first time I went, we all went on a coach, and I didn't get in because it wasn't tickets, and it just got mobbed because it was a Helter Skelter night. So just didn't get in. We were all, I think someone had a car outside and they kicked up the stereo and everyone just partied outside. But yeah, and then the second time, I think it was later on, I think it was like the 4th birthday, I went back. And yeah, so I must have still liked hardcore then.
Yeah.
So, because that was just pure hardcore. And I think SS and that were in the back room or something.
Because I mean, like, even though, like, as I said to you, even though I've missed that era of raving, like monumental experiences, you know, I still pay homage to the fact that you had like United Dance, you had Fantasia, you know, all them different. Although I never experienced it, it's nice to be aware of these things because they are effectively the roots of what is now.
I'm glad I went there once just to see the venue in it. It was just like a snooker hall with a big room attached to it. It was another crazy, because you could still play snooker.
Really?
Yeah, you could still hire the balls and play snooker in the middle of a rave.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't have trusted him with the cues if I was there.
So do you think it's important to pay respect to these old brands?
Yeah, it is, because it's where it all came from, isn't it? And it's nice that you're getting a lot of revivals now. I mean, some of them might be doing it for the money, but a lot of them, they're just trying to rekindle it because people want it. They're getting asked all the time, why can't you bring this back? Why can't you bring that back? And then they do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I've been to quite a few, do you know what I mean? And they've been really enjoyable because the old people know how to do it properly. They're not motivated by all the money and the advertising and all the corporate stuff. They just want to put on a good party.
What do you think's changed about raving back then to raving now?
Obviously, like we mentioned before, it's the regulation, isn't it? You just can't do what we used to be able to do, probably. Everything's got to be licensed and police and fire and everything, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, the whole thing's gone completely corporate now. It's like, there are still people like us doing the small thing, but the big thing's gone over. The whole corporate clubbing thing, it's like, everyone's complicit in this. All the DJs and MCs that have gone on to corporate agencies, what I'd call corporate agencies, the bigger agencies, they're all complicit in pushing all the prices up, pricing out all the smaller clubs, and they're all affiliated. Like, you've got Live Nation that owns D&B All Stars, probably, that owns, and then they're co-owned by a management company. They're all in cahoots. So if you're on that agency, you get to do all the tour with the big brands like D&B All Stars and that, and then all the prices are fixed, and then they won't lower the prices for the little men. It's a shame, isn't it, when you've got all these big brands, and they're all, it is the big companies like Live Nation, they buy shares in all the little companies,
right,
and then they have total control then, but people don't see that. But like Warehouse Project, isn't it, half of that's owned by Live Nation. It's like they're all one big party, and it makes it hard for the little guys to keep up. They do put on good parties though. I try not to. I try to support the independents, but I do occasionally go to a Warehouse Project if it's something I want. Do you know what I mean? But that's the biggest change. The money, really, the corporate side. What
attire did you used to wear back when you were raving, mate?
Just normal jeans, t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, just there was no. I didn't have a cyber phase, or I didn't have like a crazy phase or anything. Just whatever I'd normally wear.
So you didn't catch the shell suits. You're not that old, are you, mate?
No, I would have had one when I did have a shell suit when I was at school, maybe junior school, but nothing that I don't even own a pair of tracksuit bottoms now. Tracksuits never really been my thing.
And here's me almost pushing 40 that wears matching tracksuits and everything. But I feel that's kind of
each to their own.
What I'm known for as well. Do you know what I mean?
It's comfort, innit? I don't know why I've never gravitated towards tracksuit bottoms. I'd rather just wear shorts if I was going to be comfortable. Do you know what I mean? And just not have anything on. But I
must say you're wearing one hell of a Alternate t-shirt there, mate.
That's, I know we both got an affiliation with Mark.
We have indeed, mate.
A lot of respect for him. So
big up Mark Archer, mate.
And also, that's also where my journey began. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember I was listening to the tapes and everything, but obviously rave was in the charts. So I think two of my first rave singles I got for Christmas was Alternate Brutality Mustard Edition, and then Prodigy Out of Space, I think.
Okay.
I used to rinse them on my little ghetto blaster, just put them on repeat. So that was the first Alternate thing I bought, and I know you know I've got a bit of a thing with Alternate, and I've got at home probably almost everything he's ever written on vinyl,
really,
CD, all the albums, all the represses, do you know what I mean, all the American imports, all the rare stuff, even like a Japanese version of the album. I've probably got about 10 versions of the album.
He's a lovely chap. Like
he is. No, he's
you know, people go on about Nicky Black Market, and Nicky Black Market is a very lovely chap, but Mark Archer is kind of in his own field, and he's one of the most approachable men I've ever met, to be honest. And I class him as a friend now, which is great. You know, I can pick up the phone and see how he is, and he'll reply back, and that's it. And he's done a few. I'm not going to go into detail because it's kind of personal, but he's done a few favours for me in the past, which, you know, I really appreciate. I've got a good friend of mine called Corky. I think you met him at Heel Festival, actually, tall chap. He's a mad Alternate fan, and Alternate sent him a little birthday wish, and on top of that sent him like an exclusive slip mat for his turntables and Alternate, and he didn't need to do that, Baz, is what I'm trying to say to you. He could have just gone, all right.
They say never meet your heroes, but obviously growing up, Alternate was my thing, and I followed him all the way, and after meeting him, it was beautiful, and I've had conversations with him, do you know what I mean, in between gigs. I know I've booked him, but do you know what I mean? I think once I shared one of his songs, and he was like, I haven't got that one. He's like, can you send me the WAVs? And I was like, yeah, no problem. Pumped him some WAVs over for just a mix that he hadn't managed to get digital yet. Do you know what I mean? Really good to speak to him. He's one of the good guys, and his wife Nikki, one of the good agents in the world of corporate.
Is that right then? So is Nikki his agent? Because I weren't too sure of how that's set up. Nikki seems lovely, but I didn't know how.
She is. She's just as lovely, and he also credits her. I'll lend you the book. Do you read?
Have you got that Alternate book?
I'll lend you the book.
Thank you, mate. Do you know what? I looked for that Alternate book everywhere, and I could not find it anywhere. I contacted Mark. Mark said there was one copy on eBay, but they were going for silly money. But if you can lend me that, I'll read it and I'll pass it back to you.
I'll lend you that. Yeah,
I'd appreciate that.
She was like a lot to do with the resurgence. Do you know what I mean? It's like when they got together, and she really pushed him to push the career forward and use the agency to do that, and he does credit her, and it's like together, like they've really brought Alternate back to the fore, and he's gigging all over the gaff now. It's brilliant to see.
They do say behind every good man is a good woman.
Yeah,
so, you know.
I think that's right in this case, definitely.
Yeah. So, do you remember? I mean, let's just stay on this subject of Alternate for a minute. Do you remember when Alternate was the twosome? Because there was another member of that. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. No, they fell out a long time ago. I don't think they ever. You'll see in the book they never really gelled, I don't think, as people, and they fell out in the end. But I think it was mostly Mark anyway, if I'm honest. That pushed the sound and what they used. But yeah, obviously in the charts there was the two of them. I think they went on top of the pops, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, and there was the two of them, and they shared it around, and then I don't think it was long after that. Well, they only did the one album anyway, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
But they did a lot before that. All the Nexus 21 stuff.
Yes,
they've just done a little repress of that with some new bits that we never had before. So they did a lot together, to be fair. But obviously, it fizzled out, and there was issues afterwards, like with ownership of the brand and him not wanting Mark to use the name. And Mark's had a right tough time, but he's come through it and he's made it his own now.
Because I think I read, I don't know how right this is, but I think I read that they're both kind of touring out as Alternate, or is Mark
he's never done anything since.
Right, okay, right.
Quite soon after, he's never done anything with it. He's tried to pop up here and there and tried to annoy Mark by saying he can't do stuff, but it's all sorted now. Mark's got all the permission from the label or whatever, I think, so it's all cozy now.
So use your thinking cap on this one then, mate. What was the most crazy, because I know there's a lot of things happen in raves, random things that you're just like, wow. In your youth, like, what was the most craziest thing you ever seen at a rave? And as I said, this is raw and uncut, Baz, so, you know, just give it me.
The only one, I think it was the one that springs to mind, is we were at an Amnesia House rave. I think it was late 90s or something. Really good rave, and we were quiet. There was a few, do you know what I mean? I was inebriated to say just a thing, and there was a suitcase on the stage just walking round, and like until after, when I spoke to the others, I was like, what the fuck's going on? I think I was on my own or just walking around somewhere, got missing from all the others, and it wasn't until after when I spoke to some of the others, and they were like, yeah, I saw a suitcase walking around. Somebody must have been in a suitcase costume. It was just...
That's mental.
That's the one thing that sticks out in my mind, because it did trip me out at the time.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. I was like, what?
Wow.
But then someone corroborated it after, and I was like, what kind of a costume is that? They've obviously done it just to pickle people's heads, haven't they?
The most random thing I've ever seen is, again, at that Slamming Vinyl, the first ever one. So for a start, I was blown away by the vibes and the whole, because there wasn't just Slamming Vinyl, there was Hardcore Till I Die, there was lots of different rooms.
Yeah, loads of brands.
So I'm walking through the drum and bass room and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Then I walk to the Hardcore Till I Die and they've got the inflatables hanging from the ceiling, and it's just like, oh my god, for a 17-year-old boy,
it's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot, mate.
It's a lot.
And as I went through to a different arena, right in front of me was Mr. Motivator. In his lycra, raving his tits off.
I've seen him recently at Festival. He's still going, yeah.
And apparently, he's a regular at raves. He just turns up and has a dance at raves. And I was like, no way, is that Mr. Motivator? And it actually was him. So that blew my mind a little bit, you know. Yeah. I'll never forget the time.
Because he was big on the telly, wasn't he? On the breakfast show.
He was massive, wasn't he? He was massive. But yeah, lots of random things have happened. So what do you think about what was that it was different about these old EDM raves to the raves today?
Well, they're sterile now, aren't they? They're all focused on the production and the lights, and whereas back in the day, everyone was just focused on the music. That's the main difference. They just went there to dance. Now some of them just go there just to look and listen.
Yeah. And who do you think was like the biggest DJ back in that era? Who would you say was absolutely smashing it?
Just I suppose that, I mean, they're all still going now. It's like when I first started, say 94, 95, you had like your hardcore was still your Dougal and Vibes, they were smashing it, and then like for the drum and bass, which I morphed into, it was like your Groove Rider, your Fabio, obviously being from the Midlands, we had Doc Scott and a few others like that. Do you know what I mean? It was like just they're all still going. All the foundation D&B heads, they were running it. Like used to like Mickey Finn, because I used to go to like when I transitioned into drum and bass, we were going to like, I suppose it's what you would have called jump up back then. It wasn't as jump uppy as the jump up that turned into, but we were going to One Nation and World Dance, and we were listening to like all the MCs. I mean, Skibbity and all them, they were all on all the sets. It was like Mickey Finn, and I suppose even Andy C was still knocking about in the smaller raves back then. He was just coming up then, I think.
That was the golden era, I think.
Yeah, but it was pure, like, sort of mid to late 90s drum and bass, when it turned into proper drum and bass, and then obviously everything split, but it was like, there was still plenty going on. And yeah, I mean, we went everywhere. Obviously, anywhere in the Midlands we could go to, but then we used to get the train to Birmingham, pick up a coach. This guy from Liverpool came from Liverpool, picked us up on a coach, and then we'd go to like World Dance in Kent, or we'd go to One Nation at the Island and Adrenaline Village in Chelsea. And these were like Badman raves. We were like there was very little white people. I don't know what to say, like, to be PC these days, but it was mostly we were the minority. And it was like, we went to the one at Adrenaline Village, and it was just, do you know what I mean, it was a bad man place. There was like, do you know what I mean, there was fights, there was CS gas, there was a massive fight in the middle of the dance floor, and there was like you know, when it spreads, you get the circle where everyone just tries to get out of the way. It was crazy, but we always used to just get on with it. I think if you don't cause any trouble, normally you'd be all right.
I've seen a lot of risky things in past raves. You know, I won't mention promotions because, you know, they are still few and far between active now. But I've seen, you know, like, just people robbing people in raves, taking chains off their necks while they're dancing, taking handbags, snipping handbags off their shoulders and stuff, you know.
London used to be quite bad for that, and we went to a few raves in Wembley, and Wembley's quite a rough area, or was then. And do you know what I mean, you've got 5,000 people or whatever in Wembley Arena, and there was a lot of taxing and stuff like that went on. None of us ever really, do you know what I mean, we always had a bit about us, but you saw it, and it was avoidable, I think, if you were careful.
Well, you've answered my next question was going to be, what's the furthest you've travelled as a youth to a rave? But you've pretty much summed that up in the fact of where you've been. Yeah,
Lydd Airport in Kent was probably the furthest.
Lydd Airport? They held a rave at Lydd Airport?
Yeah, they had quite a few there back in the day. It's actually an active airport again now.
Wow.
But back in the day, it was just the main hangar there was massive. I'm not sure what the capacity of that one was, but the one we went to was like the summer solstice, and they had like tents outside as well as the main warehouse, and there was another indoor room, I think old school or house. Then I think there was Goldie and Mickey Finn and everyone in the main hangar, which was massive. And then we were into Bookham and the deeper sounds a bit by then. Bookham had his own tent, and it was brilliant. It was probably one of the best raves I've ever been to. Like,
really
big large scale raves.
That's a big quote there, mate, because you've been to some hefty ones.
World Dance did put on some good raves. I think we went to the Millennium, and we did a few New Year's Eves at Wembley Arena. Yeah, they put on some proper raves, World Dances. I think they're coming back this year.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're coming back. Whether it might be at that Milton Keynes where they just did the Sanctuary reunions, which I went to the second one. So yeah.
Now this is exactly why I wanted to get you in the hot seat, because you know you're not a man that's been around 5 minutes.
No,
you're a man with a lot of stories and a lot of experiences.
Yeah, as far as raving goes, I am proper experience, because I've never stopped. You know, some people get married and stop, or some people get in a relationship and stop, or work stops them. I've just cracked on. Different music, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I have different tastes now, but I still go to like the old school reunions. Like I said, I just went to the Sanctuary reunion. I went to a big Resurrection last year in Scotland. That was all hardcore and techno, different styles.
You went to the Sanctuary reunion?
I went to the second one, yeah. There was two.
What was it like, Baz? Because I've seen the flyer and I've seen a few bits of footage, but on a whole, I haven't spoke to anyone that went.
It was good for a large scale event. Listening to that music, the first one was busier, obviously. The second one they just put to make sure everyone could go.
Yeah,
a lot of people did both.
Yeah,
but it was good. I'm not going to say anything. There's a few little things I would say, but I'm not going to put anything negative out into the public.
Because you mentioned previously about you dropped the name Vibes. Now I've actually got MC Lively coming down for a podcast soon.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't know him very well. I should know him a bit more, because I know his girlfriend as well.
Right.
Or they're married, aren't they?
They are married. Yes, his wife. Yeah.
Shouldn't call him his girlfriend.
I thought I'd get him down, because again, he's a man with experience.
He's a proper character. He did like a little Q&A over COVID so people could get to know him a bit better. I mean, he's got enough stories for a book if he could put pen to paper.
I often refer to, because I wasn't into my hardcore, but I still appreciate the fact that what he's done. And I often refer, I don't know how you would agree with this, but I often refer to him as the MC Skibbity of hardcore.
Yeah, he's very popular. It's just the fact that he lives in Shrewsbury, we've got a bit more affiliation with him, I think.
Yeah.
And they were massive, Vibes and Lively. They still do a lot of shows. I know he doesn't do all the shows now.
They do a lot of reunion.
Yeah, I think Lively picks and chooses now. He want to be grafting every weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
They have done quite a lot of shows lately.
Now, I know that you began to get quite a strong interest in sound systems. Was there any particular sound systems that you recall in your youth that maybe inspired you to take an interest in your older years?
Not really. Not like looking at brands and that. I was always interested in how good the speakers were. Do you know what I mean? If they were into a venue, I'd go up to the front and check they had enough bass bins and find a good position where I could hear a good sound. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't that into it as the specifics back then. I just always, if it was not a good sound, then we'd all be annoyed. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because you did get good ones and bad ones, even back then, and even now, innit? I mean, a lot of it now is probably just limiters and regulations that ruin everything for everyone.
It's funny you should say that, mate, because, like, as I said, the first rave I went to was Slamming Vinyl. That was fine. The second rave I ever went to was a rave that they put on as a bit of a one-timer, and it never came back again. It was called Life, and it was at Milton Keynes Ice Rink, and it was like Accelerated Culture, Hardcore Till I Die. They had like a fun fair outside.
Yeah, a mix, yeah.
And you know what? The only thing I remember from that is the fact that the sound system was shit. So that's agreeing with what you're saying.
You remember things like that. I mean, that's all I cared about, really, because we went for the music, and if it just takes the shine, you can still make the best of it, and you can still dance, and you can still enjoy the experience, but there's just that little bit in the back of your mind. It's like, I could have done with a bit better sound.
Now, you own your own sound system.
I do, yeah. I've got.
What kind of setup have you got?
It's just stuff that I've accumulated. The reason I started doing my own sound was so I didn't have to hire sound in. I think I was doing the traffic parties with James. We had to hire in speakers every time. So I thought, if I just buy my own system, and then I think someone was selling one, and I still use them now, the big bins that you see, the big double 18s. And none of it's expensive brand. It's all, they've got good quality drivers in, but even the drivers aren't top of the range, like PD. They're all like Eminence or Fane or Celestion, but they all do a job.
Absolutely.
For this kind of music. I mean, I'm self-taught. I couldn't engineer like a proper system, but what I own, I know how to work for dance music. And like I even avoid trying to do drum and bass, so I don't have to EQ MCs and that, because it's another headache that I don't want, and I'd never do a band or anything. But yeah, I've just got loads of stuff. But a lot of more recently, I bought a lot of active stuff, which is RCF, really good Italian brand, just for when I need some plug and play without all the hassle of amps and stuff. But,
and I must say, your sound system works very well. I've heard bits of the sound system that you've just put in for certain raves, and I've heard the full whack, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's loud and proud. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's only got like a basic Behringer crossover on it, which I barely understand how to use, but I can tweak what I need to tweak. But just when you've just got a DJ and no mics and no other things, all you need is that sound to come from the mixer pure, and then as long as everything's plugged in, you get a good sound, and it's a nice warm sound with the double 18s. It does work.
Do you remember the sound system at the Dub Club in Shrewsbury?
Yeah, well they used to bring different ones in, didn't they? They all had their own systems, didn't they?
They were crazy,
and it was proper rumble, wasn't it?
God, the Sellers used to rock back then.
Yeah, I don't think they'd allow it now. It's too loud, and it did obviously reverberate like the cement out of the bricks and that.
I can believe it.
But I remember I used to go to them just because I liked a bit of bass. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Iration Steppers and all them different ones.
Yeah, you had the MC that was like, they weren't in a fixed position. They just walk around the crowd with the mic in their hand.
Yeah, and it was when people used to go out on a Thursday night, but
jerk chicken in the corner of the Cellars. I remember it well, man. And
it was just different. It was different, and it was at a time when people were going to the Cellars for like Planet Breaks and everything. People were used to going to the Cellars for all different kinds of things.
I wonder whatever happened to Barney.
Yeah, he went to university in Sheffield, and I don't think he came back.
Okay.
I've not spoke to him since those days, but I'm sure he has popped up on Facebook or someone said. But I presume he's just still in Sheffield.
Yeah.
He was doing bits in Sheffield,
right,
at the time when he was at uni, but I've not heard from him since. So he's probably still involved in that culture, I would imagine, somewhere.
Yeah, you tend not to get out of it, don't you? Now, I know currently, for many years, you've been known for promoting and your dedication to the local scene. So, can you remember your first rave that you were directly involved with, and where was it?
Yeah, I was. I meant to bring the flyer with me today, because I managed recently, someone, because I didn't have the flyer, someone gave it to me recently, and it's on my side at home. I haven't put it anywhere safe yet, and I forgot to bring it. But this is the first event that I ever did on my own, because I've been doing stuff with James Taylor, Traffic, just helping him, and then we ended up doing it together, I think. And we'd done bits and bobs, but I'd never done anything on my own, off my own back. So it was in the Subsigns days, so I wanted to do drum and bass, and obviously Subsigns was a style.
Big up Bryn.
Yeah, big up Bryn. Hopefully see him back one day, won't we?
He's coming down for a podcast at some point as well.
He?
I've been in touch with him.
That'd be a good story. Yeah, that'd be a good story.
Yeah.
I did see him once in recent years. I don't know where it was. Maybe he come down to one of the festivals, but I did see him to say hello to within the last few years. I'm sure I did. But yeah, that'd be a good story, because he was one of the instigators, wasn't it? I know Planet Breaks, the drum and bass started there. They had all the Goldies and Andy C's back in the early days, but he was the one that really, I think, put Shrewsbury on the map.
I'm glad you say that.
For drum and bass. Yeah,
I'm glad you say that, Baz, because I went on holiday to like this. All the family booked this kind of this house in a village in. Where's Bryn originally from? Because that's where it was. It's Bishop's Castle, BC.
Bishop's Castle is where I assume he's from.
Yeah, so we booked like a holiday home in Bishop's Castle, and while we were down there, I dropped him a message and was like, "I'm in the area," and we went and caught up and had a coffee, and it was lovely, mate. It was really nice to see him. You know, we traded stories and all that, and it was just lovely to see him, and that wasn't so long ago. And honestly, Baz, like, I'm glad you say that, because Bryn doesn't give himself enough credit for what he did in drum and bass.
Planet Breaks put Shrewsbury on the map for like rave music and drum and bass, because they had the side shoot basement. They had the side show, and they had Goldie, they had Andy C back when he was Achievable, and all that kind of stuff. Loads of drum and bass, but they mixed it in on the other weeks. They'd have breakbeat and crafty cuts and stuff like that. But as a pure drum and bass phenomenon, Subsigns was the one, and it was upstairs. They had Pendulum, they had like 1,000 people maybe, or near. They had big crowds, and it was on like the underground drum and bass map. It was a thing, wasn't it? And
it was, and I relate kind of Bryn XXL to, although he ain't quite XXL no more. He's a bit of a single XL, or maybe a large.
Been playing a lot of cricket. He's been getting them runs in.
Go on, lads. But I relate Bryn to a lot of my fond memories, like Bottom Dollar Beats, going there and chilling in the record store. All that kind of hanging around a record store and seeing what the latest releases are and stuff like.
That's what I mean. He was part of the culture, the local culture, Subsigns and the record store and everyone. That's when the family started growing, I think, because everyone knew everyone. I remember I lent him some monitors one night. Up there, we all looked after each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like we were all. I mean, me and you knew each other, but we weren't friends like we are now. But we all knew who each other were, even if it was different genres, wasn't it? Because I was still house and techno mainly then.
And then he linked with, which was the biggest link he could have done. He linked with Fantasy, and then was Spectrum was born then. Yeah, you know, and Bryn was getting a lot of big artists.
Fantasy was. I know Fantasy's plugged in now, but he was proper plugged in back then. Fantasy.
God,
He was like,
yeah, he had involvement with a lot of artists, so Bryn was able to get massive lineups that you look at now and you just think they're like, you know, they're so not affordable now, like compared to
the sub focuses when they were just he was just a normal DJ.
Absolutely.
That goes back to the corporate thing again. They don't need to be mega stars. They don't need to charge mega money. It's like it's a negative in the scene, I think. The way they've gone, but the lineups that we used to have at the bar market, I think there was one. I think it was Tom Whittle. I don't think it was after Bryn, and I think they had Chase and Status and Andy C on the same lineup, and there was someone else, I think.
Mental.
And it was crazy. I don't even remember that one at the time.
I can remember performing with Friction at sub sounds. They had high contrast. There was just so many. Skibbity was down there. The Ragga Twins were down there.
Yeah.
Bad Company,
and loads of smaller parties just in the cellars. I know we did the big ones as well, the Pendulums.
Yeah, he did the paybacks. They were the paybacks. They were where they were like a £5 entry or something, and he'd stick a headliner on because he could afford to do that back then.
Yeah.
But,
I think I might have even done a back room for him, or a couple of back rooms with the techno.
Right.
I can't remember now. It was a long time ago, but yeah, we all used to look out for each other and do each other's back rooms, and just to try and get a few more heads in. Do you know what I mean?
So how do you think promoting a rave has changed from back then to now?
Well, back then it was flyers. There was Facebook maybe towards the back end of, was there? It wasn't as prevalent anyway. When we first started, it was flyers. We used to go around local nightclubs, stand outside and flyer, and it was word of mouth. It wasn't the internet like it is today. I mean, even when Facebook first came out, it was amazing. You could do 20,000 invites. You got all this organic reach, but now everything's paid for. Facebook, you have to be on it. But
I know. I used to love a flyer in my head.
To make it function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what me and Dribbz were talking about on the past podcast. Like, there's like an era where flyers stopped, and like it got to the point where events and promotions weren't even printing a single flyer because they knew they could just slap it on social media and it'd go twice as far.
I did try and keep it going, but then it's like, what do I do with them? I can hand so many out, but there's only so many counters that you can leave a few flyers. There's nowhere that wants them hanging around now.
No. So did you promote raves for the money, the funds, or did you do it for people's enjoyment?
Just literally for the love. I saw something that needed doing that the people weren't getting, so I just felt that it was my job to give that to some people. Like, we go back to the question we never answered, my first ever rave. I think it was the bottom market. It was like up and down. They had hardcore upstairs, and then downstairs I took control of the cellars, and with just music that I loved, that something I wanted to do the liquid drum and bass, because that's not something Bryn covered. And I asked Bryn, because obviously he was the anchor promotion in that venue. I said, do you mind if I just do some liquid drum and bass?
And there's the respect right there, Baz. Yeah. There's the respect right there. Do you know what I mean? You asked him, do you mind if I do? And that's just, I don't know if that's just the way you are as a person, just a very polite chap, or there's just a bit of respect between promoter to promoter.
Just like a bit of protocol. I always see it as his venue. Do you know what I mean? He was running the drum and bass. So I said, do you mind if I just book Marcus Intellects? And he goes, yeah, just one off. Yeah, don't worry. It didn't interfere the date or anything, and he was fine. So I had Marcus Intellects, R.I.P.
Rest in peace,
very
man.
Sad. Played for me 4 or 5 times. Even played me a techno set, because his techno moniker, Trevino, ended up being more money and more value and bigger.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Trevino was a more expensive booking than Marcus Intellects.
I didn't know that.
He was playing all the big techno clubs in Europe, like Berghain. Yeah, under a different moniker.
Wow, I didn't know that. No, not at all.
Yeah, so I got him to play in the back room once, and I had to pay, even though it was the same agency, it was a sub-agency, so I had to pay the sub-agency for Trevino, and I had to pay for Marcus. I got a deal, Marcus was signed. Like, Marcus was never an expensive DJ, and he always looked after me. Do you know what I mean? But as Trevino got bigger, then Marcus had to get a bit more money, and it was like, but he looked after me on that one, and I made it work. But yeah, that was my first ever, when I took control of the lineup of the main sellers. I had Marcus Intellects, and then Ratty and Tango, which were some of my favourite early rave DJs, playing a bit more breakbeat old school.
Tango passed as well.
Yeah, that's another
fallen soldier.
I always look back and think I'm glad that I actually booked them and had an affiliation with them. But Marcus was like, we're talking about Mark Archer, he'd always talk to you.
Right.
Marcus was like that. I bounce ideas off him. He always let my little nights in the vaults, he always let me use them as tour nights if he was releasing an album.
Nice.
He goes, yeah, if it helps. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you could let me call it Solution Shrewsbury, like his event brand. Do you know what I mean?
Decent guy. What a decent guy.
He goes, yeah, if it works, we'll do that. And I said, well, I can't afford 2 big headliners, so I think we got Phil Tangent in for the one, just to make it look a bit more, because he was on the label. And he goes, yeah, that's fine, we'll just do that.
Decent guy. So if you could go back to when you first started getting involved in promoting, what advice would you give your younger self to maybe do things a little bit differently? Or are you completely happy with the way things went?
Yeah, I think it was just organic growth. There's things that I could have done better, or there's always ways to improve, isn't there? But it was fun, and it was doing the right thing, and it was just giving people something to do. I couldn't have done it any differently, I don't think. You learn on the bounce, don't you?
You do. So how do you decide who to book? I mean, I'm talking currently now. Let's move on to like your current self. How do you decide who to book? Is it based off cost of the artist, or do you check out their social medias to see how active they are?
It's just the way I look at it. It's just the general picture. I mean, most of it you pick up off socials. Is like you get an idea for an artist, and then you think, yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Or it's because I still go raving quite a bit. It's people that I've seen and I think they're good at what they do, so I'll try and get them. But it's just the overall opinion in my head that I think they'd be good. I mean, with the drum and bass now, because I don't go to drum and bass raves anymore, I just have to get like a picture. I see what people like you share, and I see what a video here and there. Do you know what I mean? And I get like an image of what I think, and I think, yeah, because I only book for Heel Festival, I'm like, that's probably going to be a good look for Heel Festival. And then I'll ask opinions. Do you know what I mean? And make sure everyone thinks it's a good booking, because I'm not in the drum and bass raves as much now. So just a general picture, and then obviously it comes down to achievability, because in a small town everything's not always achievable.
No, of course not.
There's certain acts like you're never going to get like your Andy C's silly money, but even dropping down now, there's medium artists that you think, oh, they'll be achievable, and you just get stunned by the fees. But a lot of them keeping it real. Do you know what I mean? We can get who we need more or less, and we could get the bigger ones, but I just don't think you'd get good value for them at the prices that for a small town that they're asking. I know Paul's made it work quite well recently with the Subvert. He's getting artists that you shouldn't really be able to achieve, and he's managing to do that with his good promotion, and he's got a good thing going. But it's hard to get that next level. Now they're all on these corporate agencies. It is hard. So it is achievability. So sometimes you have to catch them on the way up before they get on that big agency, and sometimes with the house and techno, you get them when they're a bit older and they've plateaued and they're a bit more, yeah, I'll take that gig, whereas when they were peaking, they wouldn't have took that gig. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I think Paul's built up quite a good relationship with some of the agents as well.
Yeah,
so big up Subvert, man. Every time
it's doing good things. And like when I finished Perception, because I was just doing it for the people. No one else was still. I only started Perception after Subsounds finished. There was nothing in town, and it was like my own version of what I wanted a drum and bass event to be. Obviously banishing MCs, which must have annoyed you a little bit.
No, the thing is, with Perception, it was quite a niche.
And it was the music. It was the liquid music.
It was liquid, and I'm not a liquid MC, so there was not one part of me that ever thought, I need to be on that.
And it wasn't just because I'd gone off MCs by that point. I've told you I used to be into the One Nations and that. Yeah. It was because obviously it made it easier for me to get into the venues, because we just have music, we don't have MCs. Do you know what I mean? It was the perception and the stereotype of MCs, and there was like a bad stereotype for drum and bass back in the day, and MCs and the harder style of drum and bass had a bad stereotype. So if I thought, if I go to the venue and say, because even the Vaults at the time didn't really want drum and bass in it, I said, we're just playing liquid, we've not got no MCs, and it was just a way of getting back into the venues. And it stuck, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah, there's a lot of, unfortunately, even to this day, there's a lot of MCs that feel they have to, have this persona of being this bad boy. And it's just, I think that's where, without blowing smoke up our ass, I think that's where me and Monchi have got further, because we're just average guys, Baz.
Yeah.
We don't think we're any better than anyone else. We just keeping it real, mate, and just doing our thing, and we'll always say hello to people with a smile, and we're always very accepting of people, and that's got us far more bookings. And I've had MCs come up to me that have said, up and comers, the younger ones, that have said, what can I do? And I'm like, just don't have an attitude, don't write lyrics about guns, power and all that stuff, because okay, there might be a small percentage that want to see that, but you'll get so much further by being just a nice guy, and I think that kind of really does play a part.
Well, it does work, yeah, and then it fits in with like the Heel ethos. That's why you're the only two probably, and there's no residents at Heel Festival, but you two are obviously for the bass tent, the the resident MCs.
Honestly,
But
Baz,
because it fits with the ethos. Do you know what I mean?
means a lot, mate. When you said that, it really means a lot that, you know, you guys think we're worthy of doing that. So thank you for that, bro. Honestly, really appreciate it.
It's the voice for that side. It's like, and you're both totally different. It's a good thing.
Oh, it's chalk and cheese with me and Monster, but it just works.
Yeah, it does.
You know. So in your later years of promoting, like, you started up obviously the sound DJ hire and events, and this in turn brought promotions like Technic, like Perception, as you've said, to the likes of our all-time favourite local venue, the Butter Market. Now, you've touched on the Butter Market just now, but I want to talk a little bit more about that as a venue, because I strongly feel that this venue holds its own when it comes to naming some of the Midlands' most legendary establishments. How long have you been involved within the Butter Market, mate?
I can't remember now. Obviously, going to the Butter Market, I've been going to the Butter Market forever. I mean, God, I'm quite old now, aren't I? So probably 25 odd years that I've literally been going to the Butter Market. I mean, the first raves I remember were Planet of the Breaks, so respect to Sonny Woods and all the people that
Am I right in saying
that.
They had Grandmaster Flash?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think several times.
What an amazing booking.
Cash Money and all the old. I dug out all the old flyers. I've got them all they're in my garage at the minute since I moved house. But I found them all, and with
the breakdancing apes.
Yeah, the lineups were mega back then. It was like, I think it was weekly and then fortnightly, and then it drifted off towards the end. But they'd have like breakbeat on one week, then they'd have like 4 hero drum and bass, and then they'd have something else. It was brilliant. Plus you had the dub club going on at the same time. So that's and they had the Basement offshoot. Like I said, they had Andy C and Goldie and all them coming when they were on the big tours, and Fabio. So that's where we got our drum and bass, and then obviously we'd go to Birmingham or Wolverhampton to get the rest of it.
So for someone who hasn't attended any raves at the Butter Market, can you describe that venue in 3 words?
Oh God, trying to pin it down into words, isn't it? It's the original Butter Market was even almost a little bit dingy or grimy. It was like raw, definitely raw, and it's still raw now in the cellars because you've got that bare brick. Fun, I guess. It was just, but back then I've seen it change so many times. I mean, right now, thanks to the investment from the new team, Martin and the gang, it is unrivaled in this area as an entertainment venue.
Because there was one stage that I can remember it. There was one stage it was just left abandoned, and the future of the Butter Market did look bleak.
It was derelict, and it was really tired after, I think, the bank repossessed it when Kerry, I think he passed, or was it before he passed? No, it was before he passed. He lost it anyway. He lost it, and then the bank repossessed it, and it was just sat there, and it was just degenerating. But so, if Martin hadn't have bought it. And he didn't just buy it, he pumped a lot of money into it. I mean, he's made it back now, but for someone to take on that and put all the money back into it,
it's brave, isn't it?
Yeah, and I remember the first time I went back in, and I was like, they've got Function One. And these are people that operate, because they operate C21 and whatever that was at the time, commercial venues, and I couldn't believe that they'd got the Function One in there, upstairs and downstairs. I was like, that is amazing. I remember saying to Grant, who was the manager at the time,
Grant,
we used to have a good relationship with him, and he used to let me get back in with the drum and bass after they reopened. And he was like, I don't understand. He goes, I go, like, if I put Function One on the flyer, that gives me heads. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy,
like, if I can say that. And he didn't even realise what a good dance music system that they put into the venue.
Yeah, makes a massive difference.
That at the time must have been a massive investment.
Yeah, definitely.
A massive risk. They didn't have to spend the extra money, but they did, and I'm glad they did, and it's helped them, because obviously the Cellars doesn't get used as much anymore. The dance has dropped off, but back then it was getting caned every week. We had all sorts of, when there was more people going to raves and dance music, it was getting hammered.
Because for the drum and bass side, at one stage we had the likes of I do remember this straight from his mouth, Mickey Finn. He described the Butter Market as one of his favourite venues to perform, and with the fact that he performs all over the world, that is a massive statement to make, mate. So what do you think makes the Butter Market stand out as a venue within the music scene?
I just think that like the cellars, the bare brick arches, like the little cubby holes. I mean, it used to be totally different. The booth, you remember the booth over the other side, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Like,
I do. Yeah.
And there used to be more cubby holes. It's just. I think the cellars makes it, and even to be honest, back in the day, I used to love going to a venue with a balcony. So upstairs has got like a three-way balcony. It's like it gives you that bit of theatre, that bit of, and we've had. I mean, Bryn did quite a few nights upstairs when he needed the extra numbers.
And the drum and bass, it kind of doesn't get used enough for it there. But I know that the Butter Market make money back tenfold by the commercial events they put on.
Yeah.
You know, I see the pictures and it's rammed.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there was the commercial drop off, so like your Saturday night crowd dissipated, it's gone. But he very cleverly turned it all round, and now it's like bands and tributes, and now
the bingo nights and all that stuff.
The venue as a whole is busier than ever, and I mean, post COVID, that's an amazing achievement, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Can you think of any like iconic moments when you've been within the Butter Market or promoting in the Butter Market?
It's hard to think, isn't it, when you're on the spot? I mean, for me, like after I'd started promoting, the drum and bass perception was going well, and I was rotating, and I was putting different bookings and that. We started off pure liquid, and then we got a few metal-headsy ones in, and then I even tried to dabble with a bit of Casra and halogenics just to try and give people something a bit different. I mean, they didn't always pay off numbers-wise, but I suppose for me, the pinnacle for me was when one day I just thought I want to do something big, and then I put Andy C on. I was like, I had a word with the management, and they said, can I have upstairs just as a one-off?
Was you responsible for that then, was you, Baz?
Yeah.
As if?
Yeah.
That was a great night.
That was Perception, that was Andy C upstairs.
Andy C and Tom Piper.
Yeah, that was it.
Upstairs, you went, mate. Yeah, I remember it. I came to it.
Yeah, no, that was a good one, yeah.
I remember it, mate. What's been some of the most random things you've seen within the Butter Market? I'm going to go first on this one, mate. So, at the Butter Market in the cellars, you know, when you've got rooms upon rooms, and there was like this room within, I think it was the back room, what they call the cavern.
Yeah, the cavern.
So,
now.
the cavern, now I think it's a toilet that's at the back of the cavern, a very small room. It used to be just an empty room, but I remember opening that room the one night. I don't know why I did, but unprofessionally, I opened the door, like, what's in here? There's a coffin in there, mate. And I'm like, well, that's a bit random, innit?
Yeah,
so, of course, we all had pictures in this coffin, like, hey! But
there used to be loads of shit dumped at the back before it got died. There is like it's all behind like the main cellars stage now. There is like a toilet and a passageway that leads to the cavern.
Yeah, it's all done well, mate.
Yeah.
There used to be this stigma in Shrewsbury that if you were from certain areas, for example, the likes of Telford, then you weren't as welcomed as you might have been somewhere else. Do you think Shrewsbury has become a lot more inclusive now than it once was?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
And why do you believe that? What that is?
I think as far as the rave goes, or the dance music events go, I think they've always been quite inclusive. I mean, there's always been a Telford Shrewsbury thing, hasn't there?
Can I be honest with you, Baz?
Yeah.
So on the rise of me and Monchi, like next year we're hitting our 20-year mark, 20 years of MCing together.
It's been a while.
And obviously we look at Butter Market as homelands, and we always have done. Back when we first started, there was certain groups of people from Shrewsbury, they were older chaps. Like, we were kids, mate, 17. They were older chaps, and because as soon as we opened our gobs and, you know, had the Telford
the accent, the twang,
they knew, mate, straight away, and they came up to us with their Stone Island on and stuff, and we were getting threatened, mate. Like they were like, you know, you wait till you get out of this venue, we're going to be waiting for you. And there was times that me and Monchi had to go through the fire exit with a security to the car, mate. Honestly, that was
as when you were performing, like
when we were performing. That's what we experienced, Baz.
Yeah, I suppose that's just people, isn't it? It's just
I suppose you can get that anywhere, but you know, they did highlight on the fact that we were from Telford.
Yeah,
but
there was always a Shrewsbury Telford thing. Do you know what I mean? We hate when you're growing up, innit? We all slagged each other off, probably, or whatever. But as you grow older, you realise it's just a postcode, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, when we were talking about Shrewsbury's music scene, I think it's important to pay respect to the Vaults as well.
Yeah.
As I really believe that venue provided some great intimate experiences when attending raves. I mean, we've seen the likes of a whole host of DJs. Do you rate the Vaults as a venue, and why?
I did when it was properly used as a music venue, because at the time, before. I mean, obviously now it's more of a sports bar. He's starting to do a bit more music now, but obviously with the 3 apartments next door is the reason why it got stopped using as a main music. Too many sound complaints, too much licensing drama. Same with everything these days, isn't it? But when it was full bore, balls deep, a music venue, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. People used to go to the Vaults on a Saturday just because they knew there'd probably be music on.
Right.
And they weren't bothered what music it was because they knew they'd be able to go for a dance.
I remember the likes of, I mean, when Mass Effect held Shy FX in there, and, you know, and that was vibing, mate. But I don't know whether, I mean, I might be wrong in this, but I seem to feel that now it's more of pre-drinks before they get to the butters.
Yeah, he's got the football on. It's more of a sports bar now, but he is starting to do music like on a Saturdays and that. And Dribbz did his night on Boxing Day, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's open to a bit more now. He can get away with a bit now, but it is primarily the music comes after the sport bar but it's still where everyone goes. Yeah, everyone always goes there, even though the music's not always on. But there's usually he'll put background on later on or something, or someone will just get on the decks because there's a little booth there now.
Yeah.
But for me, that was my home venue. I did events at the Bottom Market, but I've probably done 100 events at the Vaults.
Really?
I would think, yeah. When you add up all the Traffic House and techno, and then I used to do the occasional old school. I think we had DJ Forlight once. We did an old school, but like even Perception, it was like all the best Perceptions were probably at the Vaults.
Yeah.
When you've got like a tiny venue, and when we used to drop the system in. That's probably why we got the sound complaints, isn't it?
Because probably is, mate, yeah.
We used to drop the system in. We had the double 18s in there, and it used to be pumping.
Yeah.
And like I've touched on it on Dribbz's podcast, when you've got like Lensman and Calibre, and it was like free entry. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was amazing to get those kinds of people in that kind of tiny venue. But it was a brilliant venue back then. The dance floor, we put the booth up on the stage bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just right, just enough.
Yeah.
Just enough. I mean, you could probably charge a little bit on the door just to try and cover it, and don't put too much on it, otherwise people are tight, they won't come in it. But it was just the meeting place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely was. Now, you've been involved in bringing the likes of Fabio and Groove Rider, Ronnie Size, the late great Too Hot to Handle Randall, and Pilgrim to Shrewsbury. What's some positives about being a promoter in this day and age, mate?
It's I suppose the buzz is still the same, isn't it? All the hassle and the risk and everything's still the same. It's like you try and ask a promoter why they do it, and it's a difficult question for them to ask because it is a thankless task. I mean, you know how much effort has to go into these things. You see the background.
Even set times, mate. Like, I honestly,
people arguing over this.
Yeah, my heart goes out to promoters because them set times, you know, I can only make this one because I'm going here. Well, I can only do this one.
Yeah,
oh, mate,
it's the same. You just give joy, and at the end of the night, you might get one person that comes up and says, "That was fucking brilliant, mate. Thanks for doing what you do."
Yeah.
If you get a few of them every now and again, it gives you the buzz back.
Yeah,
innit?
Definitely. What values do you believe are good to have when running these events?
Just like we've always said, like you with your craft, is just be real. Just be nice to people. Give them a hug on the way in. Make sure they can all get home safe.
Yeah,
and just try and do the best you can do musically. It's like it is a hard game. It's like we go back to the Andy C at the Bottom Market. It was like obviously a very, very heavy investment for me. That could have been very expensive, and I didn't enjoy the night because I was worried about the numbers, and that's the peril. Do you know what I mean?
Shame in it.
This was meant to be. This is my big moment. I want to do something massive for Shrewsbury. Give them a good night. And like the feedback off the door on the night, they said only this many have come through. And then I was thinking, I'm going to drop a couple of bags here. And I was like, it took the edge off it for me. It almost worked out in the end. I lost a little bit, but what I did lose, I would have took that any day, considering what I could have lost.
Do you think like it's important to try new things and be risky with attendance, or do you believe it's good to find like a balance and then staying in your own lane?
Yeah, well, you have to you work out what works, and it's like after a bit you know what you might get away with, but you can't do the same thing every time and book the same DJ every time. You have to take the risk, and even then you can have a good day and a bad day, and it might be nothing to do with you, just the wrong random date where nobody wants to go out. It's like it's hard, but I've always done it, and it's the one thing, it's my creative thing, do you know what I mean? I dabbled in DJing and I still love DJing, but promoting is where I give back and where I can be creative within the music scene. It's my thing that I feel comfortable doing, and I get a buzz off doing.
I must say, like, you know, you said about being quite a thankless job. Like, especially for me and Monchi, like when you talk about promoters within Salop, of course, like you're up there, bro. You know what I mean? Some people don't like to have the credit, but sometimes they need their flowers, and thank you on behalf of Salop music scene and further, mate, for putting on some of these amazing parties and bringing some of these DJs through. I can only give thanks to you for doing that, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of many, aren't I?
Of course, but you deserve your flowers, mate, as much as anyone else does.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, the good thing now is we've got a really good network now of people like me. You've got all the audio tech boys, and they use all the other people, and we're all there involved in Heal. Do you know what I mean? We're all one big team at the moment. It's powerful,
mate.
Yeah, and
it's powerful.
It's brilliant. They really have. They brought everyone together. Do you know what I mean? They bring all the different sound systems, all the different promoters into a field. It's similar to what we do at Heal, but it's like there's love out there now, and it's nice to know you're not on your own. Do you know what I mean? I can do them a system, and they'll come and put me a tent up.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing knowing that there's people that you can ask for help if you need it.
Definitely. Now, from myself being involved in the scene and watching it grow and elevate, I'm very much aware that you are now involved with the biggest music and family festival to hit Shrewsbury. And for the listeners that don't know, this is Heal Festival, which is held at the West Midlands Showgrounds, and it caters for all types of music. And I personally believe that if you haven't been to Heal Festival and witnessed the vibes, then you really need to go and get a ticket and check it out for yourself. How long have you been involved within Heal Festival, mate?
From the start, really. We're year 4 this year. It's late September. The Saturday's the 20th, but we're Friday and Sunday this year. I've known Dean a long time from other events, even from Back to the Bottom Market, from Invasion days and everything.
Oh God, was Dean part of Invasion?
Dean was Invasion.
Gee, Dean was Invasion.
Dean and Hubby.
Jeez, there's another promotion, yeah. Hubby, yeah.
Dean and Hubby were Invasion, and Dean was quite involved in running the Bottom Market, and I think he was booking.
As if I didn't know that.
Booking for the weekends at one point. This was before the closure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When Kerry had it. So I've known them since then, and I knew that he was thinking of doing something. Obviously, we had Shrewsbury Fields, which died, and we won't touch too much on that, but since he started, and I was like, if you're going to do it, I'll help you. I mean, that's a massive thankless task trying to do that again. But if you do it, I'll help. And then I started off, maybe the first year, so I'll just do the drum and bass tent. But I've got deeper involved now. Like I curate or run. Curate's a bit of a poncy word, and I run all the dance tents now. Do you know what I mean? I control the lineups and everything that happens. So. Got quite deeply involved now, and it's a really hard one, that is, because it's a lot of risk and a lot of effort, and a lot of, obviously we've got people like you that come and help us out. There's a lot of community spirit in this one, because it's not something where anyone's going to make any money out of very quickly, so we all have to chip in, and we do get a lot of help.
And are you running around like a blue arse fly at these events? Because I mean, I've seen you and you look pretty chilled at these events, mate.
The last one, because the last one I had 3 tents. 2 of the tents had my sound system in, and then you've got artists coming in, and you're on the phone making sure they're here, and then one's late, and then there's a speaker gone wrong in the other one, and it's like you're making sure. Having 3 tents was hard, I'm going to admit, last year.
So that's what the people don't see from behind the scenes, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm there completely sober, trying to make sure everything goes off. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, and obviously it doesn't just happen on the day. We're there all week setting up, and then Dean's worrying about licensing the whole year, and we're booking for September now, trying to find the right artist for the right money, because the ticket price on Heal, people won't appreciate it. They'll think 40 quid, oh, that's loads of money. But like a festival anywhere else, with the lineups that we're achieving, that we're subsidising, you're looking at, it should be £100, not £40.
I agree.
The value, people, I'm sure there are people that think, wow, that is good value, but some people will be like, oh, I'm not paying 40 quid for an event in Shrewsbury. It's like you're getting 100 quid's worth of ticket with that 40 quid. And that's what I think, as we're growing and we're getting better, and they're seeing we're getting the axe, they'll probably start to appreciate the value a bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. For the listeners that don't know, can you give them example of the type of DJs and the type of acts that are being booked from over the years?
I'm trying to think back. Drum and bass wise, year 1 we had Nicky Black Market. We had General Levy was the big one. We had to have him on the Friday because he couldn't make the Saturday, so a few people missed that, I think, the first year, but that was brilliant. The drum and bass tent was absolutely rammed when General Levy was on. And that really made the Friday stand out, I think, because I'm not sure what we had. I don't know. We had nothing on the main stage. First year was just General Levy and Nicky Blackmarket and the drum and bass guys on the Friday. And now the Friday's built up a lot more, I think. Last year we had Shep, big up Shep, and the D&B Religion crew came in and they brought Exile and Mad Rush in. So the Friday's really building, and then obviously the Saturday is the main day of the festival, and that's where the money day is, where we need everyone to turn up. So the Saturday is the big day, and we get a lot of day tickets, but it's nice when they buy the weekend tickets and they pop in on the Friday. And obviously we've got the Sunday this year. So let's look at last year. We had Jungle Cakes, Decline and Ed Solo. That's quite a big act. They're smashing all the big festivals like your Boomtowns and everything. And God, I should be able to remember these things, shouldn't I?
We had the legendary DJ Hype.
Yeah, we had Hype. He popped
which I had the pleasure of hosting.
Yeah. I was resident MCs. It's nice to be able to. I mean, obviously, like we've discussed, some of the DJs need to bring their own MCs, but obviously we like to nurture the local talent and let the locals loose where we can. Obviously, some of the DJs like Decline and Ed Solo bought their own MC Psy. It was TNA, wasn't it, the other headliner this year?
Of course it was.
Azra and Grimer, they've got their own MCs, so that was the only big set we could leave loose to get our residents on, and they did a brilliant job. I think it was probably the best set in the tent on that day. I think Hype.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. I've asked you this question kind of related to the events that you put on at the Butter Market and stuff, but I don't know if the festival's a different thing, but, you know, have you got any positives and negatives to promoting a festival?
The negative is just the hard work and the risk, and we've got so many of us on site doing everything for nothing, do you know what I mean? Trying to get it over the line, including people like you that come and act for us. And that's the only negative. It's just trying to grow the festival with a tiny budget. Do you know what I mean? Fighting all this corporate bullshit and trying to get mugged and pay massive fees, and we can't do it. And it's hard, and we have to negotiate. And most of the time, we can get something over the line. We have put some really good lineups together.
100%.
Last year, especially, was massive. The negative is the hard work.
Yeah.
And trying to do it within the budget constraints that we have. But as it grows, hopefully that will get easier, and we'll have more money to play with, and it'll be a bit easier. But the positive is just being there on the day and seeing everyone have fun. Thousands of people are in that field dancing to that music because I and we made it happen.
The younger generation as well, it's lovely to see like the kids getting involved.
Yeah,
and stuff,
that's the beauty. It's just like you've got no excuse, isn't it? It's like, oh, we can't get a babysitter. Bring the kids, fam. Do you know what I mean?
I must say, DJ Wangy's always there with his kids repping it. His kids are always going large on the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to see.
Yeah, and it's nice. Obviously, we've got kids and they can come. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to see them bouncing around.
Yeah,
and appreciating it. And then we're going to try and get some more stuff for kids again this year. We've been trying to increase it. I know we do like the Big Fish Little Fish DJ, some a bit of craft, and there is stuff, kids yoga and that they can do, and there was some more bouncy castles and stuff this year. But it is a family festival. I mean, some people they think festival drinking, they don't really want to bring the kids, but if you bring the kids early afternoon and pop off before everyone gets a bit more lean, but we've never had any trouble that I can recall.
No, I've never seen anything. It
is brilliant. Raving with your kids is something that we never got the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
Or back in the day with our parents, do you know what I mean? But it's something that you can do now, and there is loads of stuff there. It is a family festival. It's a music festival first, then it's a wellbeing festival, but it is family friendly, properly family friendly.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't worry if you're listening to this. You can bring the kids.
Definitely. What's been the general feedback from the attendees of Heel Festival? If they give you anything that you guys can work on, or has it just been positive?
Obviously, this year, apart from the weather, which obviously...
Oh, man, the weather.
Yeah, the weather really, really hurt us this year. People come that didn't have tickets, and obviously you usually get that walk up, which gives us a bit extra money on the day, but we had no walk up because of the weather, and the Met Office were putting out lightning weather storm warnings.
I must say the drum and bass tent has never been so rammed, because people were taking cover and going, actually this is all right.
There are positives, but yeah, that really hurt us, I think, this year, because we put on a really good show this year, and obviously we had some better partners doing the bars. The Salopian bar were doing all the bars, and that was the only real negative we've had from Heel Festival. Was the year before, when the bars didn't work. There was a last minute change of contractor, and we did suggest that it wasn't going to work what they were going to do, and it didn't, and that was a real negative. So, but I think most people gave us another chance this year, and the boys this year, the bars ticked over. No one waiting, no one nothing. Massive choice. Cores were down with all the draft and everything. That was the one negative that we needed to fix last year, and we fixed it. So I think the confidence into this year, that there isn't really a negative.
Yeah,
we've got to try and find a way of putting another brilliant lineup together.
Definitely.
We've sold a few tickets already. There is trust out there now. They trust that we're going to do something, but it's up to us to put a half decent lineup out, and then hopefully the people will support.
Yeah. What's your dream booking for Heel Festival, Baz? Absolute dream booking. Even if it's not even affordable, what would be your dream booking?
Well, Alternate was my dream booking, and he's played every year, and I'll give you a little bit of inside information now. Alternate has played every year, and he will play this year as well, so
get in.
That's your first unofficial lineup announcement from me.
Dean will be slapping your wrist for that, mate.
But I don't know. It would be nice to get some of these big days. It would be lovely to get
Craig Charles as well, haven't you? That's amazing.
No, he was banging last year. Put him on the main stage, because the music, soul and deep, that worked a bit better this year. We have got some good dance music lined up this year. There's one that I'm particularly excited to announce that I can't just yet. But it would be nice to get. If you could get like an in with one of the big DJs and say, come on, can you just do us a deal? And you bang Andy C in the tent, or you could even put him maybe not main stage, but you could get a bigger tent and make something like that work. But the fees, they're just not possible. You just would not get that money back being where we are, especially at this stage of the festival growing. Me and Monchi follow an artist called Undercover Hippie, who is that a band?
Well, he is a band, but first and foremost he's himself, and he kind of plays an acoustic guitar and puts rap lyrics to it, and he's very corporate but fantastic artist, and I'd love to see him at Heel Festival at some point. What I will say is I really enjoyed Dub Pistols. Yeah, they were amazing. Their presence on stage is just wow. Yeah, that's definitely someone we want to get back, because Dino's got a really good affiliation with them. He gets on with Barry, so Baz is a legend. In the coming years, we will definitely have some more Dub Pistol. But they are playing at Albert Shed in March. They are indeed, yeah. So if you love that sound, get down there and support. Yeah, Undercover Hippie actually is playing Albert Shed as well. Oh, so quite spoiled for choice, really. Yeah, that's really good. Now, I know Heel Festival is really passionate about booking the local up-and-coming talent and giving them a platform to showcase their craft. Who do you believe is smashing it in the scene right now and doing great things? Can you give me like 2 DJs and 2 MCs that you feel are doing really well in the scene? God, I'm just trying to think now. I think up-and-comers. I'm not really sure. I think Paul's probably got them all running at Subvert, hasn't he? He seems to have his finger on the pulse. You've got like your Tills and your J Riches and people like that are pushing through, and I'm not really sure without going to the raves. You know what I mean? I can't think of anyone that I've got lined up, because that's why we do the DJ comp. That's where I find the younger artists. And I must say, Bass Phase won your DJ comp last year, and there wasn't many people there because it was quite an early set, but honestly, Baz, he smashed it. He smashed that set. He did really well. Just a little keep in mind a bass phase, please.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
He did very, very well on his.
But we will be doing the DJ comp again, because that was brilliant, and it was a way. I was hoping that some of the people that I know were going to put the mixes in, so they put themselves forward, because there's only so many extra slots, and they are early slots, but everyone wants to play at a festival.
Yeah, it doesn't matter when it is.
A slot's a slot, being on a decent system in a tent.
I think just to see your name on the lineup alongside the likes of X, Y, and Z is just amazing.
It's a good way of pushing people through, and then they get noticed, and so we'll be doing that again. I hope we have we'll do it a bit earlier this year, and I hope we get a bit of a bigger uptake, and then we'll get as many on as we can.
Watch this space, guys. Watch this space. Look out for the DJ competition.
If you are the up and comer that I haven't seen yet, make yourself known.
Absolutely.
Tag yourself in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Throw those messages around. You can't turn up in a club with a mixtape these days. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. You have to kind of wait for your slot, really. Do you see Heel Festival branching off to other areas, or just staying in Shrewsbury?
Just for now, we're concentrating on the main event, but I will try and do some more warm-up events this year, and then maybe we'll do like a sub-event earlier in the year in future years. It will grow into more than just one festival. It will grow, but I mean, just for this year, I think I will do some warm-up parties, maybe at the Park Market or something.
Where do you see Heel Festival in 5-10 years time, Baz?
Hopefully bigger. I mean, the numbers grow every year, and if we can get it to a point where we can get these big headliners in, that's where we'd like it to be. Sustainable, which it isn't yet, just sustainable, and with a crowd that come back every year that make it achievable. I mean, it's not just Heel Festival. We should mention Parklands Festival or the Audio Tech,
of course,
Boys, because that's growing as well. What, they're a year behind us, but that's also the same ethos, and I know they're growing and they're doing more band music, and obviously I'm involved helping them as well, because like I said before, we all work together. They come to Heel, we go to Parklands. It's a beautiful thing.
Lovely bunch of lads, Audio Tech lads.
Very good. And
they push boundaries as well, Baz. Like no one's ever put an event on in the arena of Telford Town Park. Lots have tried and lots have been denied.
And they've grown it from the free events and all the outdoor events.
You've got to give it to them.
A lot of hassle for not much reward, all those old events were. And they've built it up, and now Parklands is the cherry on the cake, and it is brilliant, especially for dance music, which is dance music. They're pushing the live again this year. You'll see some big announcements. I'm
gutted, mate, because like I know I've had an inkling of who they've got booked, and like they approached me to perform, but I say unfortunately, me and Monty are playing in Cavos on the same date.
Oh no, you can't come Parklands.
We can't come Parklands. We're in Cavos, mate. So we could be doing boat parties and everything. Fantasy booked us for Cavos for Breakaway, so we're playing at Breakaway in Cavos in the same event.
If you were going to miss out, that's a good reason to miss out.
Yeah, I think so. I've got FOMO though, mate. I'm the little inkling of the lineup and stuff. I'm like, oh man, why am I not playing that? It's local and it's big, but it's nothing to cry into my pillow, because
you'll get there next year, won't you? But it's I've seen a few snippets of this year's lineup, and Parklands will be dropping in a couple of weeks, and it's something you need to take attention of this year, definitely.
Absolutely. What's the process when it comes to booking artists for Heel then, Baz? Do you have like round the table meetings, or is it discussed through WhatsApp groups?
We do have a few little meetings, and then we've got people that we talk to. Would that work? Would this work? But I mean, band wise, it's mainly just Dean. He's connected to all the agents, and he knows where to ask, and he deals with most of the band side, and then obviously I deal with all the DJs.
Yeah.
So it's just finding out who's available, finding out what's achievable, and then trying to put it all together. It's not just about that DJ and that act. It's got you look at the poster, and it's got to be a package. It's got, we could go and have a look at that, even though it's not our thing, and it's just got to look. It's got to have an aura, and people say that's a good lineup. I'll pay 40 quid for that. Do you know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
yeah. So for the listeners who may be interested, this is the final one with Heel Festival. For the listeners that may be interested in grabbing a ticket for the next event, let them know the date and where they can find the tickets, mate.
Tickets are World Wide Web, heelfestival.co.uk. We sell tickets directly. There's no booking fees. There's no agents getting in the way. You go on our website, and we get 100% of the money, and that's good for us. The festival is the weekend of Saturday the 20th of September, and then obviously we're on the Friday, and there's stuff on the Sunday as well this week. So
I was going to say, this year you're doing the Sunday as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to put a programme on the Sunday because we're pushing the weekend festival. You can camp. It doesn't cost much to camp. You can stay the whole weekend. So the people that were in for the weekend and the camping, they wanted something on the Sunday.
Right.
So there is going to be a programme on the Sunday. We're not sure what yet, but the main stage will probably be open, and I would say at least one of the dance tents, and there'll be some entertainment. It will be worth the weekend ticket this year, because it's only like a tenner more to stay for the week to get the weekend tickets.
I did like, sorry to interrupt you there, I did like the whole, like, referring back to Shrewsbury Feels Forever Festival, like, they had comedians on the Sunday. That was something different.
Well, we have looked into the comedy. I don't think he didn't make it work last year, but we have looked into all different angles, because it's music and well-being. It's everything. Do you know what I mean? There was a lot of spoken word stuff in like the well-being area. There is loads of different stuff. Like I spoke to this bloke that come from Liverpool. It was his first time, and he's like, I've just had a sound bath in the well-being. I've never. Yeah, and it was like it was brilliant. Mate.
Nice.
It was a lovely. Complimentary, all the people that came. This year the only thing that ruined it was the weather, but there's not much we can do about it.
No, I mean, Heel Festival, just to let the listeners know, they have a range of like food vendors with some amazing different food. It caters for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So if you're ever, if part of you is even contemplating getting a ticket, head over to the website, see what it's all about, look at past events and grab your ticket.
If you've ever been to Festival, either down south or the one that's now finished that used to be in Weston Park, we are a smaller version of Festival, family-friendly festival, more affordable, not quite the same massive lineups, but a portion of we've shared artists with them in years, and we've booked the same kind of people. So if you've been to Festival, it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah. Now, we've covered a lot of stuff here today, mate, and we're going to move on to the last part of the show. And with this, I like to have a little bit of fun. Now, I do this with all my guests, so there's no wrong or right answers. It's completely off the cuff. As I said, it's raw and uncut. I'm going to ask you a few silly questions here, mate.
I'll do my best.
All right, Here we go. If you had one song that would be your entrance anthem every time you walked into a room, what would it be, Baz?
It would be Kernkraft 400 Zombie Nation. It's originally an obscure techno track that's obviously gone mega commercial now, but it's my kind of stupid, that track is. I love that. It's my kind of stupid. Everyone knows it now.
They do.
It's quirky, it's different, and it's just stupid. And it's still something that I will dance to now, and it's just got a vibe, and that's a bit of me, that is.
Nice answer, mate. Nice. If my listeners were to walk into your house, what would be the first thing they would understand about you?
Luckily, I've just refurbished the downstairs of my house. So the first thing they would think is he loves his gadgets. There's gadgets everywhere. As soon as you walk into the kitchen, there's about 4 air fryers, like all my bulbs are on Wi-Fi, the heating's on Wi-Fi, massive telly, speakers everywhere in the living room. I've got my DJ set up in there now, all cushy. They'd be like, this guy likes his gadgets. I think that's what their first impression would be.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
A superpower. God, that is a difficult one, isn't it? And I remember you asked Dribbz that one, didn't you?
We've asked Dribbz, we've asked Callum Doyney on a past one. Callum's was he wanted to be the bullshit man, like Carl Pilkington once said, where he can identify someone that's talking bullshit and just come into the room and go, bullshit!
I should have really thought about an answer to this one, just in case you asked, shouldn't I?
Well, I never prepped you, did I, mate?
No. Superpower, what would I want? Just, I don't know, something boring like health, invincibility. I've got a bad back and I could do without it.
That's a good one, mate.
Something like just like healing power.
Yeah, man, we all want to be healthy. We all want to be healthy. Like that's the good one, mate. I like that.
Some healing power.
If you had to relate yourself to a crayon colour, what would it be and why?
You can't get silver crayons, so it's going to have to be yellow. So bright, a bit leery, visible.
Nice.
Yeah, just something that's bright and out there. I like a I like to stand out.
You do, mate. Yeah. You do. And when you're on about the silver crayon, I thought you were going to refer to your silver jacket, mate. You know what I mean? Because
it's winter.
And the silver Nikes as well. Do you know what?
It's winter, so I haven't got the silver jacket on.
When Baz enters a dance, you know Baz is there. Baz has got a very good presence, and his attire is second to none. So yeah, I like that, mate. I like that. What was the last gift that you gave someone? The Christmas weren't long ago, so I suppose if you can refer back to that if you want.
Yeah, a gift of a good size. I gave my son a PS5 Pro. You can't get much better than that.
Nah, you definitely can't get much better than that. PS5, get in. Do you know what, mate? Here's a little story of PS5. So when the PS5 first come out, and it was like crisp new, £600-700.
Hard to get hold of, yeah.
Really hard to get hold of, yeah. So I jumped on a Facebook raffle page, and I was like, I'll have a go on that. I'll put £2 on that. Fucking won it, mate.
Oh, no.
Fucking won it, mate. I've got that PS5 in my front room now that I use daily, and I paid £2.50 on a raffle, mate.
I had a proper struggle because I wanted to get him it when it come out, and I missed the first pre-sale, and then I managed to get one. I had to buy a package with all the gubbins, but it's just like you had to I tried about 10 times. I got him one in the end.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
If you could eat only one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
It would have to have bacon, whether it's a bacon sandwich.
You like a good bacon sarnie,
with a breakfast, yeah.
I wish I'd known. I would have made you one of them, mate.
But bacon is something that I wouldn't want to live without. As a food type.
Nice. What is something controversial that people do that you really don't agree with?
Oh God, that's a tricky one, isn't it? What do people do that I don't like?
We're all about making you think on these podcasts, mate.
Yeah. The thing, I'm just going to say, the thing that's just popped into my head, which is relevant to music, which isn't something that I really hate, but I think I've seen Mark Archer comment on this as well. MCs that go oggy.
Oh no! Yes.
That's just the first thing, because that's the first thing that's popped into my head, and it's just like, it was probably all right the first couple of times, but it's just not lyrical. It's not. It does connect with the crowd, and I can't argue really if there's 1,000 people going oi oi oi, but I think maybe it's something we could leave behind going into the new year.
I agree, mate. And as an MC, I agree with you there. Would you have? This is a good one. Would you rather have £1 million or 1 million loyal friends?
You don't need 1 million loyal friends.
Definitely don't.
Enough loyal friends. See, the reason that I promote events is because I care more about people than I care about money. And I've always said I'd rather have, because I always price my events quite low just to try and tempt people in. I mean, break even if I'm lucky most times. I've always said I'd rather have a full club and an empty wallet than the other way around.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so money isn't my king.
Right then, would you rather fight 100 house cat sized lions or 1 lion sized house cat?
I'd go for the big cat, because even small lions would probably be yapping at you, I reckon. Yeah, I'd go for the one big one and see if I could wrestle him down.
Would you do that, would you?
Because they've probably got smaller teeth than that, even if it was a big cat.
Fair comment. If you had to choose between a life without books or a life without music, which would you choose and why?
I'd obviously get rid of the books. I do, as I've got older, I do read more books. They're mostly autobiographies by artists. I read them all. Do you know what I mean? If there's the first book I read for ages was the Mark Archer book. I was like, I'm definitely reading that book, and then it's got me back into reading, because I read all the books now, all the DJs that have started doing them. So yeah, I'd keep music. I could live without books, but I couldn't live without music.
Yeah, I find that music, you can relate it to so many emotions. You know what I mean?
And it's not just the music for me. I don't consume loads of music at home. I don't have like an iPod and listen to music in between, a bit in the van maybe, and sometimes at home. My music is consumed in the club. That's my happy place, in the environment. It has to be in an environment for me to fully appreciate the music.
I get that. So last couple of questions then, mate, and we're going to draw this podcast to an end. If you can abolish any single behaviour that humans do right now, that everybody has to stop doing it permanently, no matter who they are, what would you choose to abolish?
Greed.
Yes, that's a good one, mate. I like that.
Greed, because that is what is ruining the scene that we love at the moment. It is greed.
It's ruining everything, mate.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, it goes as far as politics and world life and everything, doesn't it? But
it does.
It resonates very much at the moment with the music scene.
Totally agree. Last one then, Baz. If you could experience any wild animal's perspective for a day, which animal would it be?
God, just a bird of prey. That'd be just bombing around up there. A bird of prey, or like a shark. I'd want to be up in the sky or deep in the ocean, just seeing what's going on.
That's two different sides of the spectrum there, mate.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking to go up or down, and it not like a normal animal, because we've got like a land perspective, haven't we?
Yeah, and let's face it, like in the ocean and that, there's a lot of stuff that like it goes that deep that we haven't actually experienced, mate.
Yeah, see, yeah, I've been up. I've done a skydive. I've been up, so I'd probably be more inclined to be a shark.
Nice.
Get down there and have a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
No,
mate.
Thanks for asking me. I've always wanted to do something like this. Do you know what I mean? Just like tell the story, and because it goes wider, doesn't it? We talk about the wider community and the wider scene. It's like it's not just about me and you, but it's nice to do these things, and I'm very, very pleased that you invited me.
No, it's all right. That's why I call it Dribbz Talks. I wanted to, at first I was going to aim it to just music, but that's capping it off at one single thing. So I have a range of guests, that are doing good things in society, and I think that you're very much one of them. So it's been a long time coming, this one, Baz.
Yeah, I was going to say it took nearly 30 years, but someone's appreciated me enough to tell my story.
Hey,
so.
I appreciate you, mate. I appreciate you. So if you want more information about Heel Festival, please check out the website. Grab your tickets because when that full lineup comes out, you won't be disappointed. The early bird tickets still out.
Yeah, they're still heavily discounted at the moment, and they will be probably for a bit longer yet. But until obviously when the lineup comes out, they'll probably go up a tier. So now is the time. Get a weekend ticket.
What are you waiting for? Support
your local community and your local scene. If you don't support, the event will disappear.
You know what? That's such it's good advice, that is, and I relay that back to Taxi Man Les Hammond, that passed away. He was one of our very, very good friends and a real big supporter of the scene. His one-liner was support it or lose it, and that's very true. It
is the same with everything. But I mean, Shrewsbury has always been very lucky. We've always managed to have venues, and when there wasn't, we've found another little space to use temporarily. And there's always been enough people. We've been through most of the promoters that we know today, and it's all comes in phases. But the promoter can't go on forever, and there's always luckily been someone to take up the mantle. So just support those people and make their jobs a bit easier,
and show some love, man. If you've had a good night, just mention it to the promoter, because like Baz said, it's appreciated. It's quite a thankless job. People rock up, they don't see the hard work that happens beforehand, they just see the finished product. Drop them a message, let them know that you've had a good time.
Yeah, then there's things you can do. Share that post.
Yes.
It takes 1 second. Share that post. Invite some of your friends to the event page. Just spread the word. I mean, in a day and age where we have to pay Facebook for advertising, just spread those good vibes. Spread those good vibes.
Yeah, man, it takes nothing. It takes nothing to share or to like a post, and it all helps with the algorithm. So it's been Bazland on the Dribbz Talks podcast. Thank you so much to everyone that's following the page. Don't forget to subscribe, whether you subscribe on YouTube or Spotify. Either way, I appreciate it. Give it a like, give it a share, all the good stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dribbz Talks podcast. We're bringing it to you real, raw and uncut. A safe place where we can talk about anything and everything. So like, share and subscribe. But most importantly, keep it locked. Everything's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Just take one step at a time. That's what the leaflets say.